Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Always Connected podcast. Suzanne Giesemann here. I know we have a lot of new people joining us today, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our weekly live podcast today, where we choose a different topic. I'm going to just speak about it without any script, let spirit guide me, and then bring some of you onto the screen to ask a question about the topic today. And then we'll have a wild card moment at the end. Not sure what spirit will do with that, but it's really wonderful that today's topic is about mediumship. Is it wrong? And if you saw the thumbnail for this, it says fear or love. And that to me is the bottom line. What is mediumship all about? Connecting with those across the veil is to show people that love never dies. And by extension, that we are this connection that we feel and enjoy with all that is. Mediumship is one path to what is known in spiritual terms as self-realization, coming to know that this story that we're living here in our human lives is just one aspect of a greater self that's inseparable from all that is, that we are beings of light connected to each other for all eternity. If that scares any of you, that's because you're living in human mode and have not yet discovered the light within. So where do I begin to answer the question, is mediumship wrong? Let's begin with what led me to mediumship. Here I am today connecting people with loved ones who have passed as a way of providing healing, comfort, because my stepdaughter Susan was killed by lightning 20 years ago this year. And at that time, my husband and I were in the deepest, darkest place. And if we had believed what others said, that those who pass are dead and gone, if we had succumbed to the language of, I've lost my daughter, then we would probably still be lost today. But by no chance, by grace, I had found a book about mediumship 6 weeks before Susan passed. And out of curiosity, I started reading it. What I read in that book sounded absolutely crazy to me. Descriptions of an afterlife where people do things a lot like we do here. And I set the book aside. But when I saw Susan's body at her funeral, there was a knowing in me that there's a part of all of us that can't be killed, the spirit. And I set out to find Susan myself. I ended up taking my husband Ty to a medium. This story is told in our documentary, Wolf's Message. By the way, April 29th, Wolf's Message starts streaming free on Tubi, a streaming platform that almost everybody can find on their TV. So mark your calendars for that. But I knew that Susan still existed, so we went to this medium, and it rocked our world. It rocked our worldview. We could no longer deny that Susan was still here based on the evidence that that medium gave us. I mean, how do you deny? There's a young woman here who died rather suddenly wearing a brown uniform, and Susan was a Marine who passed in her 20s. I'll just cut to the quick. The greatest evidence was, and she's bringing with her a little baby boy who she wants to introduce to you. Well, Susan was pregnant with a 6 month. She was 6 months pregnant. That medium did not have our last name, could not have Googled us. I knew in my heart this was real. That healed us beyond anything we could have imagined. Now, the difference for me from many other people is that I was raised with no religion. My parents were agnostic, I guess. We just didn't even talk about it in our family. For some reason, religion was taboo, whereas for many people, mediumship is taboo. So I find that the biggest key to why people think mediumship is wrong is ignorance. I looked up ignorance today on dictionary.com because it has a negative connotation. That's ignorant. But all ignorance means is lack of knowledge or lack of information. Think about it. Go back a few centuries, and people truly believed the world was flat. What kept them from knowing the world is not flat? They did not have the personal experience of discovering that you could sail to the horizon where it looks like a disappearing edge pool and you're going to fall off the edge. And they kept going and going and going. Trust me, my husband and I sailed across the Atlantic Ocean in our own 46-foot boat. We did not fall off the edge. We came to great new adventures in new lands with new cultures. And that's what awaits anyone who sets aside their fears based on what people told them. Mediumship is wrong. And experienced for themselves, whether that's in a reading with a real deal medium who uses evidence to show you that they are truly connecting across the veil, or whether that be in your own, what I call adventures in consciousness. Learn to enter expanded states of consciousness naturally. That's called meditation or contemplation, where you open your mind and your heart and ask to be shown something you don't know, to have an experience you haven't had before. I sat daily after Susan's funeral and said, Susan, I know you exist. Reveal yourself to me. And I did not stop until she did. And in the process, open to the presence of the most loving beings I had ever experienced, including masters so much more loving than a lot of humans I've run into here. And what causes humans to be less than loving? Fear. And the false perception that these bodies make us separate from each other. These bodies are no more solid than the air around us at the deepest level. So let's take mediumship back to science. I don't know if what I said was just correct, but I think you know what I'm trying to get at. Going to the science, mediumship is about tuning into frequencies that carry information. And these are frequencies of consciousness, like a different channel that most people are just not yet tuned into. And I say yet because I'm living proof that you can learn to fine-tune your human antenna, the body and whatever it is in this body that allows us to bypass the filters of the nervous system and pick up on energy information of those whose channel, your loved ones who have passed, are right here. When I saw how healing that reading with a medium was for our family, to know that Susan truly is right here, not dead and gone, as loving and funny as ever, changed everything for us. And so I started out wanting to tell the world that mediumship is real through my writing, through books, only to discover that because of my daily sitting in an expanded state and asking to have Susan reveal herself, that I could do this for others, I realized this is a calling for me to bring healing to others, to bring comfort to others. In the 18 years now that I have been helping people connect with their loved ones, I've had many people say to me, oh, you're so courageous to talk about this publicly. Oh, you're so brave. I have never understood that. And I guess it's because I have seen personally the healing effects that showing others that their loved one is right here, that love never dies, has. I began speaking about mediumship, teaching people how to connect themselves, whether or not it's a calling to be a medium. We all have that longing to connect with those we love after they've passed, and that is possible. So I teach that. And my husband, Ty, would often stand in the back of the room, and he has lost count of the number of people that have come up to him and said, Ty, your wife saved my life. There aren't many people that can say that about their work. So to me, that is the greatest blessing. But what about to you on an individual basis? How about being free of fear, right? The fear of never seeing your loved ones again. And then how about getting over this fear that mediumship is somehow wrong? This topic for today's podcast came about because Ty and I had dinner with some new friends. and he's very interested in my work, found out what I do, and he asked me point blank, "Is mediumship wrong?" And I explained what I'm explaining to all of you now, and then he pulled up his phone, and he said, "Well, here's what the Bible says." And I took a deep breath there so that I can tune into spirit and just shift higher to love beyond the lack of knowledge that people have about what this work is all about, and share with you that being raised with no religion, certainly I know how people think about the Bible, how helpful it is, about any scriptural text, any religion. But the Bible can be interpreted two ways, literally and metaphorically. What makes the difference? What people were told. So he quoted a few of the verses in the Bible that, if taken literally, my goodness, I can see why people would think that's wrong. But I also know, because I've had people quote the Bible to me for decades now, that there are Bible verses that say that talking to those across the veil are the fruits of the Spirit. So which is right? To me, ultimate truth comes with personal experience. Speaking of religion, I had a Pentecostal minister come up to me at a conference of the International Association of Near-Death Studies, IANS. You talk about a group of people who has had the personal experience of crossing the veil and realizing it's all about love, and that loved ones greet us when we pass and come back to tell us about it. No one can convince them, that talking to spirits is wrong. So at this conference, this Pentecostal minister said, "May I have a couple minutes of your time?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "I took your mediumship class because I wanted to learn to connect to my loved ones myself." And I was stunned. I said, "You're a fundamentalist Christian preacher?" And he said, "Yeah, for 40 years. And I said, "And you took my class in mediumship?" This to me was so exciting, because many immediately dismiss mediums. And to the human side, that can be hurtful. But to the soul, isn't that interesting phenomena? And I said to him, "What did your parishioners think?" And he said, well, they were a little confused and concerned about me, until one of them said to me point blank, "Is mediumship wrong?" And I looked at them and I said, "Mediumship is Christianity with the walls blown out." I absolutely love that, because all true religions come back to love, the golden rule, and unity consciousness. Mediumship is not a religion, but it will bring you to love, connection, the golden rule, and unity consciousness. This is from personal experience. I have a friend who was fundamentalist Christian. She felt it was, well, I'll tell you, it was Leanne Hull. I talk about her in the appendix of my book, Messages of Hope. She felt it was her mission to proselytize, to bring people to her beliefs, until her son Andy passed. And then she heard about mediumship. It conflicted with everything she had been told, but she had that inner knowing that Andy was still here. And she went to the medium Suzanne Wilson, who is fantastic and evidence-based. And within minutes, Leanne knew what her heart knew. Andy is right here. There was no denying it. And so Leanne had to look at her belief system and look at her worldview and start questioning it. And this is the challenge when your worldview is rocked. And many people are not willing to question beliefs. In my book, The Awakened Way, I talk about self-inquiry. If you are willing to question your beliefs, if you are willing to set aside what others might think about you, Be prepared. Yeah. Buckle your seatbelt, Spirit says, because you will experience a love and a freedom beyond anything that most humans experience. So, what if your loved ones are here? Be curious and imagine what it would be like for them, sending you signs, nudging you to discover more about the afterlife, and you're just denying it. I imagine that would be frustrating, but those across the veil tell me it's different in the spirit world. They don't feel human frustration. They don't feel anger. They have understanding and compassion. So why don't you put yourself in their non-physical shoes and imagine them urging you to hear them say, I'm right here, no matter what. I had a lovely woman in spirit drop in on me once when Ty and I were checking into a campground. I saw her picture on a ledge at the desk where I checked in for the night at the campground. And I knew this was this man's wife in spirit. And she said, let him know I'm okay. And I don't usually get drop-ins like that, but I could feel her love for him. And I looked at him and I said, I can see by looking at this picture, I can tell that you have a wife who has passed. I'm a medium and I can sense her here. Would you like to hear what she has to say? Ooh, he put up the deflector shields right away. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that's right. I don't want to hear anything about it. I got that little squiggly bad girl feeling, right? I learned as a child. And then I realized I did my job. I delivered the message. If he's not open to it, that's his journey. And I left and I went outside and I said to her, well, we tried. And it was like she put her arms around me. Yep, we tried. And so it reminds me of the beautiful group, helpingparentsheal.org. If you don't know about it and you know anybody with a child across the veil, write that down and send them in that way. Helpingparentsheal.org is the most wonderful organization that supports discussions of an afterlife, allows mediums to share evidence to show that their kids are here. We had dinner last night with Lynn and Jeff Holohan, our dear friends whose son Devin is across the veil. They're in my book, Still Right Here. And Lynn was talking about a new friend who has a child across the veil. She's in Switzerland and she's been diving in to learn all about the afterlife. And she saw a video from the Helping Parents Heal conference. And she was stunned to see people in the audience smiling and even laughing. I got the goosebumps with that. I've been to those conferences 3 times. I'm giving a talk to open it, kick it off this August, the next one. And she's right. This is an audience that should be full of grief, and support groups that say mediumship is wrong remain full of grief and support each other in their grief. And that's a beautiful thing to support grief. But how about supporting each other in the awareness that we're all connected, even across the veil, and our kids are right here as we meet together? What a message. It's all about love. It's all about growth, mediumship. It's all about healing. Before I bring in any of you who have questions and we can interact live about this topic, the healing part comes when an evidence-based medium is open to the messages that follow after we've established this is your loved one. And many of those messages, beyond the fact that I'm still here, have to do with asking for forgiveness or giving thanks. I'll never forget one of my very first readings where I said to a woman, your mother's here, and she's coming in with her head hanging down, which is my symbol for an apology. She wants to tell you, I'm sorry. And the woman stiffened, and I could tell that hit something in her. And so in silence, I asked this woman in spirit, why are you apologizing? And she made this motion like cradling a baby and went like that. And I knew her mother was telling me, which I passed on, your mother is apologizing for abandoning you as a baby. And the woman said, yeah, me and my 7 brothers and sisters. Clearly she was bitter. And I asked the mother, is there anything you'd like to say about that? And the mother came through with this explanation of why she left. The woman was stoic throughout, but when she got up to leave, she went to my door, she turned back to look at me, and she said, I've carried anger for my mother for 75 years. And in 1 hour, it's gone. So mediumship is much more than just right, than letting people know the phenomenal news that life is eternal. We don't die. Our lives here have meaning. By the way, Leanne Hull went on to found a foundation, the Andy Hull Sunshine Foundation, that teaches kids, you matter. She hands out wristbands to kids in school so that they do not complete suicide, so that they know how precious every soul is. That's the healing that came to Leanne and that spreads ripples from a reading with a medium, even though every cell in her body went against what she was told by others who were not knowledgeable about mediumship. So please examine your belief system, question reality, but most important, go for the personal experience. Ask your loved ones to reveal themselves. The guides just said, before we get on to our guests, is it dangerous? This is a big fear that people have. And I tell you, be courageous enough to experience expanded states, and that love will overcome any darkness. Your fears in the form of thoughts may arise, and if you shine love on them and realize it's simply a thought, it will pass right through you, and what remains is greater love. What about trickster spirits? Pay attention to what is helpful and healing. Anything that is harmful, say, this is not of the light. Shine love on it instead of running away, and it will go away. This is the way it works. So I could go on and on about all of this. I'd rather talk with those of you who have a specific question about this topic. I'm going to tune into my guides, Sanaya, who are right here to help me come up with answers from the highest possible place. And I hope it's helpful to all of you. By the way, if you're enjoying this show, please click subscribe and the notify bell so you'll know when we get another show coming up. All right. So my first guest in the waiting room, I can see you back there, is Cindy. Welcome to Always Connect.
Hi.
How are you?
It's good to be here, Suzanne. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I need to say a little shout out to my sister, Julie Marie. She's been on in here asking questions 2 times. And she's also the one who brought me to your teachings.
I love the ripples. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. My question is, in your teachings, you say your guides are who you are becoming to be, and your higher self. It awoke something in me. So could you share a little more about that?
I will, and I'll try to keep us on topic here because guides are part of the greater reality. They're here to help us and help us find the love and move beyond the fear that people have about connecting across the veil. My guides gave me the name Sanaya when I felt their presence for the first time and asked them who they are. And I looked up Sanaya, and it means one worth knowing, even though they're a collective consciousness. I learned that phrase, your guides are who you become when you realize who you are, from the channeler Paul Selig. And if you really think about it, it gets back to this name, one worth knowing. Ultimately, we are all aspects of one mind, one consciousness. We're all waves in one sea of energy information. Where there's no separation, that's love. So like Fleetwood Mac sings, we're drowning in the sea of love, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we're all waves of the same sea, then our guides are different waves. but all part of the oneness. So I hope all of you will check out the latest interview where I was on Mayim Bialik's breakdown show. I'm so grateful to her. We're going to get to 500,000 views within a few weeks. It's gone over 400,000 views. So all these people now knowing that this is real and helpful. But in that show, I described how there are different levels of the sea. And at the very deepest level is pure stillness. And we're up here at the choppy top, where the waves are in the human realm. Most of us living in fear and thinking we're separate, but our guides are a little lower, more peaceful, more open, more accessible, but they're who we become. What does that mean? The more we come to know who we are, the more we expand our consciousness and we realize, I am this awareness.
Oh, wow.
And so then it doesn't matter what your guide's name is. It doesn't matter which guide you're speaking to. We are all the one speaking to ourselves for the experience of it. Make sense?
Makes absolute sense.
Excellent. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank
And hi to Julie Marie.
She'll love that.
All right. Let's see. Well, then who do we have here next? Sue. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Suzanne. Can you hear me okay?
I do. You must be in the UK.
I am. I'm in the UK. Yes, in Lancashire. Yeah. Thank you
Well,
so much for letting me ask you a question.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. I would like to know what happens when somebody passes who's had mental health issues and whether they're able to gain clarity when they pass, whether they can understand that things weren't as they thought.
Great.
And can they see how much they loved, and are they helped afterwards? Are they able to be helped and be healed? And I'm worried about trying to connect with them. Am I pulling them back?
Okay.
Where they need to
You
be.
just asked like 6 questions in a row there. Let's get to the most basic one here. People, no matter what your belief system is, you cross the veil and you have the experience of that love that I've been talking about. You have the awareness. Let's be funny about this. Oh my God, I'm still here. You have this awareness that there is this greater intelligence that we're part of. Let me check this. Yes. What causes mental illness is the nervous system, the human body. Something is awry. Something is either off balance or, as comes through in several of my readings, poor wiring. The brain and the nervous system is a filter to the awareness of our true self. So when we no longer have that body and that nervous system, we are much more of the ultimate true self. We are beings of light that carry with us the story. And now the story continues, but with clarity. And we understand what happened in our lives. We understand who we are. We are aware of our loved ones still in physical form. We can sense them talking to us. We try to get information through to them. Sue just went blank on us here.
I went blank. I'm back.
You're still here. Well, I can't see you, but
yes,
it does not hold them back from connecting with them at all. In fact, they feel our love, and everyone is healed by love. No doubt about that. You asked so many questions. Are there any that I didn't answer in that quick answer there? I
suppose I was kind of like just wanting the reassurance that my daughter knows she was so loved. Will she see that now?
There is zero doubt of that. In fact, what I love is in readings where the loved ones, do they always? Yes, they always, when I use very strong statements like always and such, I make sure that I check on this. They always do their best to get their love through. If somebody never was able to say, I love you, they just pat their chest, and that shows me. I couldn't say it, but I'm saying it now. But the messages that I love are when, for example, I remember a young girl across the veil, my client's daughter, saying, tell my mom I know how much she loves me. She doesn't have to keep asking me. And her mother just laughed. She said, oh my gosh, now I'm on report, as we put it in the Navy, because I ask her every day, do you know how much I love you? And she heard her. So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that all of our loved ones know how much we love them. Even if we don't say it, they see it in our energy field and they feel it. Okay. So keep talking to your loved ones, everybody. Sue, know that your daughter is okay and that she's perfectly clear now. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sending lots of love. Everybody, this is the beautiful part about being part of this big group tuning in. Even if you're not tuning in live, we can send love to each other and to those on the screen, and it is felt. All right, our next guest, if you could continue doing what the others are doing and keep it brief so we can bring everybody in. Everybody's doing a great job. Hello, Adriana.
Hello. Hope you hear me.
I do. I hear you great.
Nice to meet you. I lost my friend since 3 years, and I found out since 9 months. And I wanted to keep in touch with him here, and I believe in mediumship, but I am also an Orthodox as religion. And I heard that talking to a priest to pray for him will elevate his soul. Yes. And I don't know if this is good or true, because I want to keep in touch with my friend.
Okay, I missed a little part of you heard that talking to what was it that you heard?
So I want to keep in touch with my friend. He is across the veil, or
Basically, the basic concern is everybody's. Is it okay to talk to them, and will it heal their soul? Let me tell all of you, our souls are whole and complete and beautiful and perfect right now. We're carrying these stories that are incomplete. Our spiritual path is to find and match that wholeness of our soul. So we get across the veil. Trust me, your friend knows I am love in expression. They feel our love. What are prayers? Sending our love to others. So by all means, pray for them, but not that they need anything. Send them your love. I hope you know, and they do, how much I love you. I'm sending you my love. Let me feel yours in return. This is mutual. This is relational, and they can still talk to us. So be open, be curious, and just set aside any fear and see what happens for you. Okay?
okay. So the priest, should I ask him to pray for him anymore or not?
That was the part I missed. Christ. Should I pray to him to heal for him? If you're talking about Jesus, the Christ, he has come to me in beautiful ways in my mediumship journey, even though I was raised without any teaching about him, any experience of him. And my personal experience of him is love beyond anything I have experienced, and one who desires all of us to know we are all connected. There's that universal message. So I know that part of his message continues to be to help all of us find the truth of who we are, love in full expression. So as you hold the vision that asking him to help your friend will help your friend, so it is. Okay.
Because I want to keep in touch with him. This is
Absolutely. Okay. Your intentions to do so will
Thank
result.
you.
Okay, you're welcome. All righty. I hope y'all are enjoying this. If I don't get to your questions today, on my website, SuzanneGiesemann.com, we have this awesome search capability where you can search the entire library of all of my books and courses and podcasts, all of my videos, anything that has ever been shared. You can ask a question and the answer will come from that using our virtual librarian, Grace. So go to the search menu and go down and say, ask Suzanne and Sanaya. People have really had a great experience with that. So speaking of Grace, that's our next guest, but a different one in human form. Hi, Grace. Welcome to the show. That's great.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, I worked as a nurse for 46 years, and It was about I was a student. About the second week, we were sent to take care of patients, starting off with making their bed.
I need you to keep this brief and get to the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had an experience. I knew she was alone. And after she passed, I felt her around me. I was 17.
Oh, wow.
I had another experience about 7 years later. And in that time, I had a patient who was a medium and a psychic. And I went to her. I said, he died. He had no one. He got sick on the New York Thruway and was brought to our hospital, and he had no one. He told me this.
Okay.
He died. I felt him with me. And she said, tell him to seek the light. I did. And I did feel him around me for a couple of days. I said, seek the light. So I'll say I've had a few little experiences with getting messages over the years.
Mhm.
But I've joined a choir, and we sing at Threshold Choir. There's one in Tucson. I used to belong to the one in Tucson. I'm not there now. I'm in another city. We sang at the VA hospice Wednesday. And quite a few of those old vets are totally alone. And I couldn't sing because I started to cry. So I'm interested in being a medium, but I'm afraid because I feel these people who are alone so deeply. I'll get to the last thing. While I was writing notes, so I would stay on target with speaking to you, I got a message that what I'm feeling, that these people are, I'm feeling like they're hanging around me and they're not leaving when I say seek the light. It's because of my own sense of abandonment,
Mhm.
childhood abandonment, and I've had many years of therapy. Intellectually, I've dealt with the abandonment, but what I'm realizing is the part of abandonment that I felt is still in my body. I think that's why it's making me afraid.
What's
So
happening?
I don't think mediumship is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of mediumship.
I understand. And
Okay.
and this is beautiful because you're allowing others to see how we also learn to run from pain and to push it down, to shove it down. And when you dive into mediumship, you will feel the emotions of those you connected with. You will feel the emotions, oh, I got the goosebumps, of the people you're trying to help here. And those feelings are intense and can be intense. But as you'll experience, when you allow yourself to feel them, they flow right through. But when you push it back, they get here and they stay and feel like fear. What you're feeling is resistance, constriction. I don't want to feel this. But if you remind yourself, I, the soul, am safe, you open, and that openness allows that less than positive energy to flow. You feel it, you report it, it flows. When you feel the neediness, the loneliness of those veterans, that's your compassion. That's your identification with their pain. And you can transmute that by feeling it into, and I perhaps can help them. Instead of pushing it down, oh, I don't want to feel this, that constriction, you transmute that into openness. So everything you're feeling, any of you, when you feel pain, fear, is an opportunity of something that wants to pass through you. And that release is healing. That is the definition of healing. Coming back into balance, coming back into flow, coming back into openness. So there's no doubt in my mind you could do mediumship work, but right now you're at the stage where spirit is showing you they're coming to you because they can see in your field. You can see them. You can sense them. And what it's raising when there's fear there, that says, let me examine this. I don't like to use the word work on this because it's not work. It's pure joy when we can get it to flow again. You'll feel lighter. The results of so many of my readings are that people come back the next day and say, I feel so much lighter. So emotional heaviness is just emotion waiting to be released. So if you can, okay, fine. The guides recommend writing down your fears and asking Spirit to inspire you. What's at the root of this? What am I afraid of? Where does it come from? How can I heal this? Keep asking the questions. Go to My Grace on my website. Have a conversation with her and see what it raises in you, but don't become dependent on that anybody. Once you get something that intrigues you, take that into an expanded state and ask Spirit. I have a new book here. This is a chance to let you know about it, everybody. Always Connected. How to find comfort, clarity, and direction from the Spirit within. We're promoting it's not available yet, but check it out on my website because we have some bonuses for pre-ordering it. This book says how we turn to technology for answers, but when you go within, again, buckle your seatbelts because, Grace, you're going to find some stuff that's long buried that part of you absolutely knows you haven't been wanting to face. But when you face it, all of a sudden you realize it didn't kill you. You feel proud of yourself. I looked at that and I'm still here and I feel a little lighter. Maybe I'll go back in a little deeper this time. It's a journey and it can be so wondrous. You may have times of crying and feeling sad, but then you ask what that's all about. So please don't be afraid of the journey. Welcome those who are coming to you. But I will tell all of you, your phrase, please go to the light. I would just like to correct that and tell you that their being with you does not mean they're not in the light. They're here because they've adjusted their vibration enough to be able to be felt by you. But we're all in the light always. It's a matter of where we focus our attention. When we cross the veil, if we hold our attention so fully on this reality here, we are not fully enjoying our new reality across the veil. And that's why you can say, go learn all you can while you're there. Love that you visited me here. Drop in anytime, but go fully experience your expanded states now. Okay?
Very nice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming on and allowing everybody to learn from your questions. Awesome. Whew. Some good stuff today. I need to take a breath. I'm going to bring on a woman who is near and dear to my heart, Dr. Gail Van Canagan. Hi, Gail.
Hi,
You're a
Suzanne.
PhD nurse practitioner who is now a fabulous energy worker. What's your website, Gail?
It is www.drgailv.com.
drgailv.com. Everybody, Gail, buckle your seatbelts because I'm about to give you a bump at your website. But I have noticed that I was off balance less than a week ago, and I got an email blast from Gail about her work because I'm on her list. And Spirit said, she's exactly what you need right now. And Gail did a 1-hour session for me and brought me back into balance. So energy work is real. She's the real deal. And it's a spirit thing that you're here. It's not a coincidence.
I felt that because I read your email and I kept coming back to me. And I heard Spirit say, you need to be on this call. And I'm like, okay, so I've got something to learn today, and I've already learned things from what you've explained.
Any questions about the topic?
My topic is about surrounding the fear of darkness that's believed to be present and waiting for those or us or them when they've done wrong things in this lifetime and they know that they're not going to heaven, they're going to be going down the other direction. And I just wonder, how is it that you address this fear of their life ending in pain for all eternity? And how do you open them up to the possibility and knowing that, life becomes different when we cross?
It's a great question. And this is why I love the Awakened Way path that those of you tuning into this show, many of you have been with me on this. My book, The Awakened Way, explains what it means to live the Awakened Way. And the way that we awaken to the greater reality, number one, is education. And programs like this help people shift their belief system, the self-inquiry we talked about. But specifically for your question, Gail, first of all, radiate the love that you want them to experience, that the greater reality is, right? Well, I know that there is more than this life. And I know that it is a reality filled with love. And then encourage them to check out videos of people who've had near-death experiences and really dive in. It is, the guides say, nigh unto impossible to read or watch account after account after account of people who've had near-death experience and realize what a light-filled experience it is. But then what about those people who have done evil acts here, right? Well, I'm not going to go into that. It's a whole other topic, but go to my Mayim Bialik breakdown interview that I just did, that just aired last week, and I dive completely into the fact that there is no hell as a place. It's a state of consciousness from which we can heal ourselves, even across the veil. So it's a hot topic, but we dive into it in a beautiful way. So if people are willing to watch a video like that and open to possibilities, it really encourages us to make up for things here while we're here. The path is ongoing. So encouraging people to ask questions, learn more, be open. But if you don't get through to them, just send them love. Just send them love. They'll find out for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I also just got a hit there from the guides that many people's fear about passing certainly was learned. Oh, right. Our dear friend Lynette was told from age 5 to recite something like, I am a poor and worthless sinner, by her church. She was terrified of dying because she was sure she was going to hell. Even though she was this beautiful little child, right? So that's learned behavior. So if we can model for people, to the confidence to examine our beliefs. What does your heart tell you? What does your heart tell you? If they're still mired in fear, hold in your heart that when they cross that veil, they're going to feel that love, and all that fear will have been in vain. But anything you can do to help them in the meantime is not in vain. Okay?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Great to see you. All right.
Good to see you too.
You're help for me. All right. Bye-bye. I'll tell you all, and this will help any of you who do mediumship and don't make a good connection. Right after my session with Gail, I did a reading and I could not connect. I had to call it off. 2 days later, did the next reading. This was just a few days ago. Could not connect. That is not a good feeling. And I said, we have to reschedule this. And I tuned in and I said, what's going on? I checked back with, my guide said, you are on 2 medications. You have a lot going on in your body right now. I called Gail and she said, she was hurt even before I called her. She says, you need a break. And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. There's been a lot going on in my life. So I decided to take a whole week off, a vacation. No readings, no interviews. I'm excited. So the key here to everybody is our energy fields can get out of balance. We need to take care of ourselves because mediumship is real. And when you feel through personal experience that connection, when it's not there, the contrast is phenomenal. It's very real. Okay, next up is Chris. You ready? Take a breath. Welcome to the show.
I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome.
And I want to thank you for the service that you do, because it's been a long time coming that humanity starts realizing that we're spirit creatures inhabiting a human body, not the other way around.
Yes, sir. Glad you get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got a question for you, and as a way of background, I'm a retired military officer, just like you are.
Just gotta write it down so that everybody would say, "Yeah, I went military, man."
Yeah, and we have, as you know, we have very active minds. My wife passed away 5 months ago.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
very, very close.
Mm.
She and I'm in the middle of your mediumship course. in the deep meditation.
Excellent.
And my wife and I communicate all the time. Now,
Wow.
primarily, I can communicate when I'm running. So
Oh,
just go
yeah.
back to your writing and
Yep.
walking. You
Yep.
know, no problem. We were talking one day, just about a month ago, just walking, not doing anything but walking. And we were just chit-chatting. She said, there's someone here who wants to talk to you.
Oh.
And his name appears. And then the person appears in person. And he said, hi, Chris. I just wanted to check on you, see how you're doing. This individual died 57 years ago in the Ashan Valley of Vietnam.
I knew he was going
I haven't thought of him since then.
Outstanding.
So
Yeah.
it's the real deal. Now,
Yes, sir.
here's
Yeah.
my dilemma. I can do this when I run and when I walk.
Yeah.
When I'm meditating, you know,
Mhm.
I can't seem to connect. I'm in
Okay.
your deep meditation tape right now, and I just can't seem to do it. And I feel I shouldn't have to go beat myself to death every time I want to talk to dearly departed.
So we're off topic because our topic today is mediumship wrong? But you're actually providing a beautiful example of how mediumship is not wrong. It's providing you this experience of knowing that your wife is right here. You're having a drop in friend you haven't heard from in years. So let me answer your question real quick. Okay. Then we'll stay on topic. But when you're running, I know you've been running for decades.
Oh, yeah.
You get in this state of flow, and you're not in this total left brain, you're in a whole brain state. And that's what we need for mediumship. In meditation, most likely, this is something that's relatively new for you. And so you're still kind of checking out, am I doing this right? Or what should I be doing? And the mind wanders. If you can just set the intention that you get in that same open, relaxed, flowing state as when you're running, you'll get it. It's a state. It's a, okay, let me ask the guides, because my human side doesn't know the rest of that sentence. They say, you've got this, relax, and stop trying so hard.
Stop trying so hard. Okay. Yeah, because I do try hard. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm following your tapes.
It's counter to what we're raised to do, especially a military person, is, show me what to do and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try and I'm not going to fail. But in meditation, it's a complete, and we don't like that word surrender in the military. So setting aside of all effort. Okay. Yeah. So you can just say, I'm setting aside and I'm just going to sit here and be, and just imagine you're out in nature on a long run, and you don't have anything to think about, nothing to do but run. So here you have nothing to do but sit here and watch what happens. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was an Army phrase, and I knew he knew what I was saying. Let's see. I promised everybody backstage I'd bring them on. Okay, I think we might go a little over, but if the next few guests could keep it kind of brief, we'll get to all of you. So, hi, Lenore.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Doing great.
I saw the Mayan Bialik awesome, the best one that you've done.
Grateful.
There's so many things, so I'm going to say it real fast, real quick. I took your messages through the Veil class. 2 days before I took it, Wolf came to me in a lucid dream. He has come to me another time. And then I'm like, what is a wolf giving me a message? I take your first class and it's Wolf's message. And I watch the movie and the birds hitting the glass and the red radio flyer. I have it all.
Okay.
2 birds hit my glass. I have the wagon in my garage, the whole thing. I know I connect. I know he's connecting with me. I truly feel that Sanaya actually connects with me because I have questions, and the next day your awakened way is the exact same answer that I'm looking for. She did it today. I had a beautiful 5D experience.
We didn't get to the question, Lenore.
Okay. I do your I'm almost like what Chris was saying. I do your hemi-sync tapes. I've been doing them. I love them. I did the colored chakras and everything. I've been doing them for months. Nothing. Okay. I don't get any connection to guides or my higher self. And yet Wolf comes to me in my dream, in my lucid dreams. So
Okay, so we need to acknowledge that you are making a connection, just not in the way you're expecting. And our expectations and assumptions are a big challenge. So I can feel your tension. I can feel the constriction. Now, just let it go. Relax. There's a huge difference. Feel the difference between I'm not getting it and now repeat after me. I have everything I need right now.
I have everything I need right now.
There we go. And be open to how spirit is showing up to you. Affirm that messages are coming to you through signs and synchronicities.
Yes,
And tell
absolutely.
tell the universe, I look forward to a direct connection. Thank you for guiding me to that. And now remain open, be aware when you're trying, and continue sitting in expanded states and noticing what arises. It is a journey. And if it's not happening now, there's a reason. It's a process. Ask, is there something I need to clear out? I know and I affirm there is nothing wrong with me. If I'm off balance, like I was earlier this week, show me how to get in balance. See how I do this? Relaxed, trusting, remaining open. And
The meditations go very well. I do the 35 minutes. I'm relaxed.
okay.
Nothing comes through.
Okay.
No past people, no relatives. And
there's still some kind of imbalance there that is not a fault. There's just something waiting to be healed. This is what I get. Okay, so don't blame yourself. Be curious. Be open. All right.
I think I'm going to check out with Gail.
I didn't want to suggest that. I was going to get totally overrun, but I would. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Great to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. 2 more people we're going to get to. Richard, hey, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Suzanne. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Couple things here real quick. I can speed it up. First off, to all my lady friends that are here with me every week. I don't want to name names. I might forget somebody, but that's for all you.
Richard's always in the chat, the live chat when we meet every Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to give a big thank you to your husband, Ty. I'm looking right in the camera when I say this.
Oh, nice.
Because all the podcasts, the monthly connections, the interviews, the books that she writes, the travel, you're sharing your time with her, with us. And we really appreciate that a lot. So thank you, Ty. I salute you for your captain, Ty. So you get a salute. I'm a military guy too, Air Force. And I'll tell you one thing, man to man on this. I've been following Suzanne for a number of years. And every time that she talks about you, there's that little twinkle in her eye. So you hit the wife lottery.
Well, I know that will make his day and carry him a long way because he really sacrifices a lot for me. So
I'm sure. And
I'm sure today's topic?
Yes. I hope this is, I think it is, but, and you've said this in the past before. I wrote some notes down here, but when a person tries to get in touch or make a connection with all that is, or source, or joy, as you call it, you always would add to that whatever is in the highest and greatest good.
Yes.
So can we take from that that source has a moral code, or is it just because source is the essence of love that you always add that to when you ask something or for something for the greatest good?
You see that lip twitch there, Richard, as you asked? That's my guide saying, we got this one. Okay. And they want us to examine moral code. That is a human term, a human construct that is speaking to exactly what you said there. It's all about love. And there's the part of us in us that is beyond the story, knows right and wrong, right? That knows the feeling of total connection and love. So we in our human stories are told certain things. We have to sometimes take classes in ethics. I know I taught at the Naval Academy, and the midshipmen were taught ethics, but there's a part in us that knows what is in the greatest and highest good. And so by adding to my wishes from Spirit, this is what I feel I want. Yet I know there are more expanded aspects of us that know what is in the greatest and highest good. And so I set aside what I think that is and ask that the greatest and highest good be served. That's a nod to, that's a concession to, that's a surrendering to that force of love that flows through all of us to come through me, no matter what I have been told, no matter what I'm afraid of. That's just admitting, I know there's something beyond this story, and I may not know what it is, but I trust it. Please work through me. Okay.
Okay. I lit the candles for you.
Notice. I know.
Nice
energy.
That ethereal look.
Outstanding. And I'm going to see you at the Omega Institute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody wants a chance to interact in person and talk more about these things, my Making the Connection workshop at Omega in July, and then on the Awaken Way cruise and some classes in November. I love sharing the energy of this in person. So check out my website.
You know what, Suzanne? One more thing. I'm not in the chat now because I'm on a different window. I don't want to get that mixed up like the last time. But for the people in there, Suzanne didn't ask me to say this, by the way, but her monthly connections are really, really good. I mean, you'll get to see a side of her that you kind of don't on this the podcast. So I'd recommend that you sign up for them if you already haven't been doing it.
What side is that, Richard?
I'm sorry?
What side?
Both those sides. Both of those sides.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Coming up. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. I'm going to bring on one more guest, but I'm reminded of a video that's on YouTube. Look up Suzanne Giesemann, Heaven is Here. And you'll hear this 6-minute song that I listen to for inspiration before I do this podcast. It uplifts me. And it was a gift from one of our Awaken Way community members named Barbara Prince. She used AI to create the music, but she wrote the words. And as I was listening to it this morning, it's exactly what our topic today is all about. That mediumship is not wrong. It's all about love, connection, healing, and comfort. And the exact lyrics were in that stood out at me. Pure love outshines the doubt and fear. Oh, how timely is that, right? It's all about love. If there's fear, there's something to be examined there, and shine the light of love on it. So I have one more guest. I'm going to get to everybody, even though we've gone over an hour. Hopefully you all are still benefiting from this and sticking around. We're going to have our wild card moment at the end here. That's going to be brief today. But who do we have finally? No, Richard, I think the last person left. They left. How about that? Hi, Richard. Let's see. Yep, we had somebody and she dropped off. Must have said, wait, I don't want to be on the show. So we'll move on to our wild card moment. Where, again, the show's not scripted, trusting spirit. Oh, they said you want to keep it brief so that people can get on with spreading love throughout the day. And they said, did we not already give you a message to share with people? So I hear you. What they're talking about is our Awaken Way app. It's free. Today's message, you're right, speaks exactly to this topic that we've been talking about. And this happens so often, my friends. When I go to do a reading, the daily message that I got sitting in the chair right behind me comes up in the reading. It's relevant to my client, even though I had no idea what my client needed to hear. And I say, let me read you today's message. So I also want to assure all of you that these messages that are in the Awakened Way app come from Spirit daily and fresh. They're not ever AI. The only time they may not be fresh is if I have a flight early in the morning and I can't get up to meditate. I'll reach out to my wonderful friend and assistant, Bev, and I'll say, Bev, will you please post Sanaya for me? And she'll go back through the archives of 6,000 of them and ask her guide, Caroline, to tell her exactly what date she should pull from or what keyword, and she'll post what we might call a rerun, but it still came from Spirit. So today's message, I'm going to pull up the app and I'm going to put my glasses on. So just feel the energy as we wrap up this topic. Fear or love, is mediumship wrong? Here's what Sanaya said this morning. Is it wrong to seek healing? Where does the urge to come back into balance come from? It arises from the inner intelligence that fuels the evolution of all humanity and keeps you moving forward. When old modes of thinking and doing no longer serve, modalities like mediumship are provided that allow opportunities for growth. And I'm reminded of Gail Van Canagan, who came on the show today. Is it wrong for me to seek healing when I know I'm out of balance and I can't connect? What a gift. People are put in our lives at the right time for a reason. You're on this podcast listening right now for a reason. So Sanaya finishes with, at first, humans may disdain what is new or different. A few souls not concerned with what others think will be the forerunners. Soon, others join in until what was once strange or forbidden is now accepted. And that is the way of it. The awakened way says, I am open to possibilities as long as they do no harm. Be an explorer and live free as you experience the fullness of life without fear. You are so very loved. And that, to me, is the key. If you're afraid of mediumship, you're a prisoner to the human story. Let me get that off the camera there. I've never felt such freedom in my life since I embarked on this path and stopped worrying about what other people think. I follow this beautiful body, and whether I'm in a constricted state and clenched, or whether I'm experiencing this awesome feeling of openness and wholeness. I feel that now as I embrace every one of you. I hope you feel it coming at you. I hope you feel lighter as a result of listening today. If you don't, what an opportunity to say, I choose to no longer live in fear. I'm going to be brave enough to examine my BS, my belief system, and find that freedom that my heart is nudging me towards. Hope you've learned something of value here today. Hope you felt the love from everybody. I love you all. I may not be back live next week because I'm really listening to Spirit and I'm taking a week off. So I'll bet you Christy has a good show for you, and then we'll be back here live. And meanwhile, I'll be with you in spirit the whole time. So lots of love to everybody. Thank you for joining me. It's a total joy.